All right, welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to share a look at a 1/12 scale action figure for customizers from GWToys. They're G-001. And we'll look at the reverse side of their packaging really quickly. A reminder here about using a hot air dryer to swap out the accessories. In my case, I use hot water. It works just as well. You just have to do a little bit of drying, but no big deal. It also highlights that it comes with a double ball peg for the neck and some information about the rotation on the ankles. I'll bring it a little closer in case you want to check out those scan codes. Very cool. GWToys, the G001. The accessories are neatly packaged, and he comes with additional hands. I took out the ones that I want to share, or the one that I want to share, and he comes with a pair of boots. I have one to show you closer. He comes with some additional body parts that you can swap out, and the neck peg for extending the neck there. So really cool. A close look at the two accessories that I took out for us. One is the steel toe boot, which is really nice, and you could totally see the texture there on the boot. Very cool. And he also comes with a right hand trigger finger, or a right-handed trigger finger hand. So that's pretty cool. Oh, as well, very, very nice. That is a great look. Very cool shadows. Awesome, awesome sculpt. I'll look from the side. We see the pinless double jointed elbows, the pinless double jointed knees. You see the construction here on the double jointed knee. That is a really strong joint. As well here, the double layer there of the elbow. Those are really strong joints. Some great sculpt work there on the back. I have swapped out or swapped in the fisted hands that have the hand wraps. I just kind of find that cool. In terms of articulation, so his neck does give you some swivel, left and right. The neck does, and the head gives you full swivel, 360 degrees. You can look up about that much with the head without activating the crunch, and you can look down relatively nicely. Does the neck activate at all? The neck does not give you any down or up. And if I pop off the head really quickly, we could see the peg there, which I can tell you right now, it's much smaller than Mythic Legions. It's smaller than Marvel Legends. It is smaller than Mezco. It is smaller than Origins, than Revelations, than Classics. So it is a smaller peg, but this is the piece that you can extend with the accessory in the box, and that will definitely give you more range with the head portrait. You've got full rotation at the shoulder. You've got rotation at the bicep. You do not have rotation anywhere at the elbow or forearm, but you do have full rotation here at the wrist. So that is awesome, awesome, awesome. You have the upper diaphragm cut, which is going to give you great swivel all the way around, and it's going to give you some tilt to either side. That is really good. Tilt that way. Tilt that way. Really nice. In terms of crunch, that upper diaphragm cut will give you some crunch, and the cut at the waist will give you swivel and rotation and a little bit of crunch also. So you can get not too shabby. The legs will come up about this far, giving you that sit-up kind of look. And the double jointed knees with the ankle will give you a pretty decent meditative kneel as well. So that is some pretty decent articulation. I am actually enjoying the range of motion that he has. Really, really nice. Very cool. Impressive stuff. So let's go ahead and jump right into a comparison really quickly. I happen to have the GWToys figure body, and we'll bring him out right away. And just instantly, the plastics feel different to the touch. This feels a little bit more spongy, and this feels a little bit more, a little less spongy. You can see immediately that the GWToys has the butterfly hinges that are going to give you some back and forth wobble. But otherwise, the points of articulation seem to be relatively the same. A quick look at the side, and obviously the GWToys immediately is taller. By a significant amount. And you see that the GWToys is a little bit thicker in the muscles of the calf, in the thigh, in the forearms. It is notable the more muscular nature of the GWToys figure body. And even in the thickness from the back to the chest, you can see again that the GWToys is a more brawny and bulky kind of figure. You see more of that really chiseled. Whereas on the GWToys, it is much more circular and rounded. You know, so two very different looks for customizers to work with in these two figs. And I find them both cool in their own way. But if I had to go with a quick pick preference, right now, I think I would lean towards the GWToys just because I like, it feels a little bit more spongy to the touch. And I'm feeling the squared nature of the musculature. I think I just dig it a little bit more. Really cool. Really cool. Let's go ahead and do an action pose or two in play, and then do our themed comparison for today. All right. So here, just a real quick fists up kind of stance. And I noticed the impact of the increased musculature on the biceps here and also on the forearm. I mean, look at how bulky that forearm is. Let's go ahead and get an arm match there. I mean, that's a Popeye forearm. Nothing wrong with that. Good for him, man. But it obviously restricts or limits the articulation. Look at how we can go really close up to the shoulder here with the wrist, right? Where the wrist is really close to the shoulder. Whereas on this figure, the gap and the distance between the shoulder and the wrist is much, much larger. And it's because of the bulk that we see here. That's going to limit that articulation. Let's go ahead and look at another comparative action pose and play. All right, so there we have the obligatory superhero pose, landing or what have you. And we can see that the GWToys can also nail this a little more dynamically. It's certainly supported by the butterfly joint and the enhanced crunch that it is getting out of the waist joint, you know, where there is a lot less bend here at the waist for the GWToys. And so you can still get a really cool looking pose out of their fig for that dynamic hero stance or kneel down. Quick look from the other angle. If they were going to face off there, or maybe they jumped off of opposite buildings into the same alley and landed that way. Really cool. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick look at a themed comparison with these gentlemen. And really for today's theme, I just want to go ahead and give you a sense of scale. So we'll look at a couple different lines so you can get an idea for your customizing work. And that's what we'll do really quickly. All right. So jumping right into our themed comparison, I'm going to bring in another shirtless hero. I'll bring in my Conan, well, it's not the Barbarian, the Frazetta inspired Conan, or the Frazetta design. And we'll get them paired right up there, right off. Now, I can tell you for sure that the peg on the Mezco is much bigger. You know, I'll show you. But it is a much bigger peg. So you'd have to kind of like put some ticky tack on this if you wanted to attach a Mezco portrait. It would look great on the body. This is in the shoulders anyway, it is a more muscular figure, smaller in the waist. But the head portrait would work. You'd have to work with the skin tone, obviously. All right. I'll also bring out my Mythic Legions Clavius. And as you can see, he is a big boy. And we'll get him paired up right next to the G-Dub, so you can get a sense of that scale. Very, very cool. I will bring out a Marvel Legends so that you can get a sense for how they're scaling there compared to one another. And if you want to see the peg here on the Legends, it is much bigger than the peg on the G-Dub. So you'd have to work a little bit there to get the head portrait to fit snug onto the GW body. But if you want to see a quick look, right? And I like that look, man. That is a cool look, you know? I really like the lines on the jaw, right? And the angles on the skull and how it complements the angles on the musculature of the buck. Really, really cool. So you just have to use some ticky-tack or a different peg to make sure that it fits securely and doesn't pop off on you. And let's go back over here. All right, very nice. Overall, I think that I like this fig to begin experimenting with in terms of my first time using a custom figure body to kind of like paint and create a custom action figure more than the V-Toys. Myself personally, just because I like the texture of the way this plastic feels and I like the angular nature, the square nature of the muscles. So I'll start with this figure for my customizing experimentation, and I'm happy I picked him up. He is a very cool fig. I do wish he had a little more articulation in the waist, like the V-Toys version does, and I do wish it had the butterfly joints, because as we saw in the comparisons, it adds to the articulation. That would have been cool. But otherwise, it scales well across lines. I'll bring out another Mezco just for the sake of it. Cool stuff. As always, everybody, I'm having a lot of fun taking the time out to share the experience of collecting toys as an adult. I hope you're able to keep coming back and share some experiences too. Until next time, take care, everybody.